Peacemaker is back, and yeah, I do really want to taste it. Season 2 is coming, but this time, we're living in a James Gunn world. So, what's canon? What's not? Does it even matter? Let's break down why this will impact the brand new DCU. And later in the video, we're going to show everybody that might be appearing from Superman. So, first off, Peacemaker Season 1 is fantastic. 93% critic score on Rotten Tomato. I think it's one of the better comic book movie shows made this decade, a decade where we got a lot of comic book movie shows. It's really great. It's John Cena's best work. This is his best character, and John Cena shines when the director and the writer allow him to be funny. That is when he's at the top of his powers, but in Peacemaker, he shows a little more depth, only in the way that James Gunn can bring out of people. A lot of stuff happened in Peacemaker Season 1, enough to really impact this universe moving forward. I really suggest a rewatch if you haven't yet to get ready for Season 2. Couple highlights. Amanda Waller gets called out to the public by her own daughter, really putting a twist on that Task Force X situation. John Cena kills his dad, and he's really dealing with the trauma beyond that, but probably most notably, and maybe least importantly, we got a cameo from the Justice League at the end of Season 1. Now, this was not your normal cameo. It's riddled with confusion and layers, and some people are there, but are they really there? And who are they? And which version? It's pretty much a mess, but, you know, the crib notes are, the Justice League shows up. Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and the Flash, but we only really get to see two of them, as Superman and Wonder Woman are only shown in a silhouette, keeping it very vague, keeping it very mysterious on which Superman and which Wonder Woman that is. It's frustrating, to say the very least, but we do get a couple speaking parts from Ezra Miller's Flash and Jason Momoa's Aquaman. Now, a lot of confusion already, because we already know Jason Momoa is going to go on to play Lobo in this brand new DCU in next year's Supergirl. And Ezra Miller's Flash, well, I don't expect to see that version of that character back anytime soon. So James Gunn has pretty much come out and said, this cameo, this whole situation right here, forget about it. Not going to matter moving forward, because there's a very fine line between what is canon and what is not canon from Peacemaker Season 1. James Gunn recently released a video that really got it all out there. Everything canon in the DCU as of now goes as such. Creature Commandos, animated show that came out earlier this year, canon. Superman, the box office smash and the revival of the first superhero, canon. Peacemaker Season 2, also canon, but what about Peacemaker Season 1? What about the Suicide Squad, where we first met John Cena's Peacemaker? Well, it comes with a little if-then situation. If we see a reference to anything that happened in Peacemaker Season 1, it's canon. If there are any characters that we see from Peacemaker Season 1, canon. Or if any of the events from the previous DCEU are talked about in Peacemaker Season 2, canon. And most importantly, there will be a previously on before the first episode of Season 2. All of that will be canon, and much like all other TV shows, probably the most pertinent information we should be paying attention to. So that Justice League cameo, throw it out the window. It's probably not something we're going to see, and it's probably something that we should get our minds around forgetting. This is a new DCU, a new canon moving forward, and James Gunn has basically told us, let's start from scratch. Let's start from where we are and move forward. If you hear about it, great, it's canon. If not, move on. That's something that's going to be really important for deep comic book nerds like myself in Peacemaker Season 2, because you can really get wrapped up into the hows and whys of it all and forget to just enjoy the show. Now, there is one interesting thing that might impact this whole canon, not canon situation with the former DCEU and the brand new DCU, and that's right, it's the multiverse. We are back, and it feels like we've been here a very long time. 2020 is going to go down as the year of the multiverse. Obviously, the MCU and Marvel has made it their North Star. It's basically their thesis statement for this current saga, but we've also got Everything Everywhere All at Once, the Super Mario Brothers movie, and a dozen other things where we see different versions of different characters interacting with different timelines and dimensions and alternate realities, and it's a mess, but the DCU might give us our last chance to just clean it up, define a couple things, and move on. In the new Peacemaker trailer, we see Chris Smith go through a portal into an alternate dimension that he calls a parallel dimension, a different world, a perfect world. And this is going to be kind of the plot of Peacemaker Season 2, at least in the beginning, where Chris Smith is not so happy with what's going on currently, and he goes to this other world and everything's great, everything's wonderful, everything is fine and dandy. But of course, there's going to be more than meets the eye as we deal with two different universes and two versions of Peacemaker. That's kind of the big shock of both the teaser and the official trailer for Peacemaker Season 2. Not one, but two John Cena's. Can we see them both? No one knows, but it's going to really be an interesting thing to see how they handle two Peacemakers, two universes, and how does that impact the DCU and separating it from the DCEU that obviously has some holdovers, this Peacemaker show being one of them. What about the Suicide Squad and any other projects that might carry over? So at the end of the day, yeah, we're going back into the multiverse, but hopefully it's something that cleans things up instead of asking more questions. It could be that, or the multiverse could just be a fun little plot device within this exact show. Or it's something that we shouldn't be thinking about too much because people forget Superman. We just saw a pocket dimension be kind of a big crux of that movie, and the climax of that movie is a reality rift going through Metropolis, a big split in the world because Lex Luthor is messing with pocket dimensions and alternative realities. This might just be a staple of the new DCU. One of the best things about Superman is that everything's established. Yeah, Superman is this god hero. There's other metahumans throughout the universe. Giant kaijus, nobody bats an eye. This new DCU seems to be more cartoonish, more comic booky, more surreal, and I think James Gunn might just be conditioning us to accept it and not think about it too much and let us get wrapped into the minutia of it all. Now, let's go into that perfect world that we see in the Peacemaker trailer. It seems to be everything's going up for Peacemaker. Everything's coming up John Cena. Because in this world, he's a hero. He's beloved. He's famous. His father's alive. It seems like his brother's alive, and they're all celebrated heroes of this world. In this world, he works for Argus, and he is a part of the superhero regime. He's also in love with Harcourt in this new world, something that every Peacemaker would want to be. Now, this might be the wonderful life situation of Peacemaker Season 2. He thinks everything's going to be great in this other world, but it turns out things aren't as they seem, and he needs to get back to his original timeline. We're going to see how that unfolds, and if within any of that, we get more definition of which universe we're in and which universe crosses over. All right, let's get into how Superman connects to Peacemaker. We have a lot of returning characters and a lot of returning themes. We already talked about the pocket dimensions and the parallel dimensions. How is that going to play a factor? We're going to find out probably pretty early on in Peacemaker Season 2. Another thing carrying over from Superman is the Justice Gang. We've already seen Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner and Isabella Merced's Hawkgirl form the Justice Gang, and now we're interviewing Peacemaker in Season 2, but they're being joined by Sean Gunn's Maxwell Lord, who we saw for a very brief cameo in Superman. We're about to get that more fleshed out in Peacemaker Season 2, find out what's going on with the Justice Gang and what this new Maxwell Lord means for this DCU. Now, there are more members to the Justice Gang that we have not seen yet. What about the brand new member, Metamorpho? Will he be making an appearance? It's a big CGI lift, so maybe not. Another Justice Gang character is Mr. Terrific, the scene stealer from Superman, who is already being rumored to get a spin-off project. He would be great to show up in this show. He fits the HBO Max model so perfectly, and to get him in Peacemaker could be a great transition into our own Mr. Terrific story. One more question, not from Superman, but where's the Suicide Squad? We met Chris Smith in the Suicide Squad movie from 2021, directed by James Gunn. Where's Idris Elba? Where's Margot Robbie? Where's King Shark? For the love of God, we need to get more King Shark in our lives. Peacemaker Season 2 might be where we get. And the biggest holdover from Superman, and honestly the biggest connecting thread through the DCU so far, is Rick Flag Sr., played by Frank Grillo. Rick Flag Sr. is going to be the main villain of Peacemaker Season 2, hunting down Cena's hero after finding out that he killed Rick Flag Jr. in the Suicide Squad, out for revenge and a vendetta against the metahuman, potentially after Superman. What's fascinating about Rick Flag Sr. is that he has appeared in every single official DCU project so far. He's the lead in Creature Commandos, voiced by Frank Grillo, and confirmed to be the same character that shows up in Superman, where he kind of leads the politics of it all, helping decide what we should and shouldn't trust from the metahumans. And now he's the main villain in Peacemaker Season 2. Rick Flag Sr. seems to be a very important piece connecting all of these movies, a Phil Coulson of old, some would say. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens to him in this show and where he's going to end up next. Now, those are the confirmed characters. That's who we know we're going to see, but there's always an opportunity for a potential surprise. Hell, Superman, over the summer, Peacemaker shows up talking a lot of shit about Supes, and nobody saw it coming. Big pop in the theater, big moment for John Cena's Peacemaker. Now, are there any other characters in Superman that might be showing up as well? Some candidates. The Daily Planet staff. Why not Jimmy Olsen? Why not old Cat or Lois Lane showing up to cover something that's happening in the Peacemaker Season 2 plotline? Now, are we going to get Lex Luthor? Probably not. We going to get Superman? Less likely, but this is a new DCU. We don't know who is too big or too small to show up in any of these projects. Now, Lex Luthor is an interesting one because he, at the end of Superman, went off to Bell Reed, and we know that Amanda Waller likes to draft from that pool quite a bit. So what's going to be her role in this? Does it involve Lex Luthor? Do we get a Nicholas Hoult appearance? No one really knows. And there's also an opportunity with this other dimension, this parallel universe. What about alternative versions of these characters? What if in this new world, Lex is a good guy? What if Jimmy Olsen's a bad guy? Nobody really knows. But if we get Eve Tessmacher, we're all going to be pretty excited. Another scene stealer in the DCU. Other characters returning, the 11th Street Kids are back. We got Argamos, we got Adeboye, we got Vigilante, and we got Amelia Harcourt. The core gang from Peacemaker Season 1 is back, and they're ready for another fight. We're also getting the return of Judo Master, who is going to be pairing with Argus and working with Argamos after a very contentious rivalry in Peacemaker Season 1. Seeing that little guy flip and kick all over the place is going to be a good time. And he's going to keep eating those Cheetos. A little bit of a stoner, that Judo Master. Also showing up is Augie Smith, played by Robert Patrick, Peacemaker's dad, who he took down in Season 1, but he shows up in this parallel universe. So the question is he still this clan member supervillain, or is he maybe the good guy? The mural paints him as a hero of the day. But another twist could be, what if the heroes of that universe aren't really that good of people? We're going to find out, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how does Peacemaker deal with seeing his dad in this alternate universe after just taking him out in Season 1. John Cena's got a lot to chomp on here. He's going to be funny. He's going to be big. There's going to be action. But the emotional stuff is there. Will John Cena pull up? Not sure. What does all of this mean for the brand new DCU? Peacemaker is going to be very important comic book content for those who love comic book content, because we are entering the longest gap between comic book movies from either Marvel or DC since 2011. It'll be late June next year until Supergirl comes out. So until then, streaming is all we have. We have Peacemaker now. We have Wonder Man later this year. Marvel Studios has a ton of slots on the Disney Plus app next year. And of course, Lanterns coming out for the DCU sometime in 2026. But Peacemaker is a pivotal moment because it's going to define a lot of different things about the DCU, and we're going to figure out what does Peacemaker's role and streaming's role in this new James Gunn world play moving forward. Now, here is my hot take prediction for Peacemaker Season 2. The Justice Gang shows up in the teaser trailer. They're interviewing Peacemaker to join the team. It seems like that might be one of the first moments we see that sends Chris down a spiral to go off and find this other universe and find some happiness in a world full of sadness. But I think they're going to be coming back. I think we're going to get a bookended Justice Gang situation where we see him at the beginning. It doesn't work out for Peacemaker, but at the end, he gets the invitation. He gets to join the gang. So I would keep an eye on Nathan Fillion and Isabella Merced showing back up with Maxwell Lord, played by Sean Gunn, at the end of Peacemaker Season 2. So Peacemaker's back. How excited are you? Do you know what's canon and what's not? Does it matter to you at all? And what other big predictions do you have for season 2? I'm Matt Roembke, and until then, see you next time.